They say the darkest nightmares aren't born in sleep, but in the quiet hours when you're wide awake, left alone with the thoughts that slip through the cracks of reality. Tonight, we're diving into tales that won't just make you shiver, but will linger in your mind, pressing against that thin line between what's real and what's just in your head. So if you're watching in the dark, well, don't say I didn't warn you. You did want to stay up tonight, didn't you? Imagine this. It's the middle of the night, and you're brushing your teeth, getting ready for bed. You lean forward, staring into the mirror, and for a moment, your own reflection stares back with an intensity you weren't expecting. But then, did you see that? Just a flicker. You're sure your reflection blinked, even though you hadn't. A young woman shared a story about her own mirror. Every night she noticed strange marks appearing on its surface. Handprints, like someone had pressed their palms against it from the other side. She cleaned it over and over, but the prints returned. She even tried covering the mirror at night, only to hear faint scratching sounds from beneath the cloth. In desperation, she threw the mirror away, or so she thought. Days later, she found the same mirror back in her room with a single phrase scrawled across it. "I found you." Now, some of you might be thinking, who buys another mirror after that? Good point. Honestly, I'd say leave the mirrors alone. Or maybe, stick with the selfie camera. No chance of it getting haunted, right? Our next story is about a man who began noticing strange things after moving into his new apartment. He'd leave his keys on the table only to find them on the floor minutes later, or he'd hear footsteps in the hallway when he was completely alone. But it wasn't until he checked the footage from his baby monitor that things took a horrifying turn. The camera caught what appeared to be a shadow, a tall, looming figure, standing over his bed while he slept. It lingered there, unmoving, for hours. At first, he thought it must be some kind of camera glitch, until he saw the figure wave. Just a slight, bone-chilling wave, right before the screen went static. And every night after that, he felt it. Someone watching him, standing just out of sight. Now, here's a question. If you knew something was watching you every night, would you stay, or would you leave and never look back? Drop your answer in the comments, because I think I'd be out of there faster than you could say sleep paralysis. In this next tale, a young couple began hearing whispers coming from their attic. At first, they brushed it off, thinking it was just old pipes or the wind. But then the whispers grew louder, distinctly calling out their names. "Come up," it would say, night after night, always at the same time. Finally, the husband decided to investigate, climbing into the attic with his flashlight. There, in the dark, he saw something that chilled him to the core. A single handprint in the dust, far too large and clawed to be human. He tried to move, but he felt paralyzed as a soft voice echoed around him. "I'm waiting." They moved out the next day, but sometimes when the house is quiet, he still hears that voice whispering, asking him to come back. So, anyone else suddenly planning to never investigate strange noises again? I'm with you there. Let's just make a pact. If it's in the attic or the basement, it stays there, right? Our last story is about a driver who picked up a late-night passenger on a lonely stretch of highway. She was an elderly woman, frail and silent, who simply asked him to drive her a little way down the road. But the longer he drove, the stranger things felt. The air grew cold, and he found himself unable to speak, trapped in an uncomfortable silence. When he finally pulled over to let her out, he looked back and realized she was gone, vanished, as if she'd never been there at all. Confused, he reached out to grab his phone and noticed something written in the condensation on his rearview mirror. "See you soon." That driver quit his job the very next day. Now, if that last story gave you chills, you're not alone. Sometimes the darkest mysteries don't come with answers, just lingering questions. And if you're still hungry for more, I've got one that's sure to keep you up tonight. The chilling mystery of the Dyatlov Pass incident is one of the most haunting cases in history. Real, unsolved, and beyond disturbing. Go ahead, click over to that video now if you think you're ready for it. Sleep well.